everyone. So this evening I decided to harvest our 4 basil plants. They were probably due a week ago that I could have harvested, but just been procrastinating. So here I'm just gonna snip majority of the leaves off, and then I will put them in the dehydrator after rinsing them off, because here we tend to use the dried seasoning rather than it fresh. It's just easier with what we're cooking. So stay tuned. So here I have my strainer, and I also have a pitcher. I'm going to put my stems and the leaves that look a little too eaten by the bugs or a little burnt from the sun. I actually am voice recording this after the fact, and this took at least a solid hour and a half.
Keeping it secret. There's a crash retrieval program. There's a back engineering program. This is all in the congressional hearings yesterday. And everybody's like, yeah, whatever. But Elon Musk changed it to an act. Why is it an act?
And as you notice in the background, I am listening to Joe Rogan's podcast with Jim Gaffigan. I tend to listen to podcasts when I do most of my farm chores. Usually it's the Joe Rogan Experience, 2 Bears, 1 Cave, or this past weekend with Theo Vaughn.
Don't bring up that person with the blue shirt. And the comedian's like, I'm bringing up that person with the blue shirt. Right. He is that, like, the X thing, and I haven't done a deep dive. I know people are upset about it. And
So here I'm just stacking the washed basil on the trays that are going to go in the dehydrator. I usually take a dry paper towel and we'll just dab the basil to dry a little bit, but the dehydrator will still work if it's a little wet. And here you can see I'm talking to Dave. He just started getting ready for work tonight, so just catching him up on what I'm doing. So now that all the basil's inside the dehydrator, I can see that there's some spots I could have added more basil to, which I'll make sure to do next time. The first time I did it, I only had 3 trays, and this time being 5, I'm so excited to see how much I get. So here I'm just picking off the pieces of the dried basil. Actually last night we had a really bad storm and it caused our power to go off for a few minutes, and I completely forgot that the dehydrator was turned on until an hour after. So I of course rushed out of bed to turn it back on, but thankfully everything turned out okay. So now I'm just going to fill the mason jar and use my hands to kind of crinkle the basil up in little tiny pieces. It actually was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be, so I got up to get a spatula because I thought that might just help break it down easier, which thankfully it did, but halfway through doing this, the spatula actually broke in half, but I still made do. So with preserving anything, it's kind of a lengthy process from beginning to end. Thankfully, this machine does majority of the work for me. All I have to do is set it up, and then it just takes 10 hours to dehydrate whatever you put in there. But trying to pick out every little last piece is definitely tiresome. So like I said previously, this is the second time I've done this process with dehydrating our basil. The first harvest I did, I still didn't even get through like 1/8 of what I harvested. So I'm really excited because I think this amount will last us definitely through the winter and maybe into the next season. But I could probably also get a 3rd harvest this season if I really wanted. So stay tuned to see the final amount. I don't know if you could tell by the look on my face, but I am ecstatic for this amount. especially if we can get a third harvest this season. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something from watching me dehydrate some basil. Bye!